Hi there, and welcome to Dork Wars, the podcast, your galactic hub for all things Star Wars and more. My name's Blake, and I'm here with some of the best hosts in the galaxy. First, we have the funny one, El Wesley!
I like the L at the beginning. What's up, dorks?
And we have the commentator, Andrew.
Oh, I didn't prepare anything to say.
That's not fair. That's what I was going to say.
And our very own Jedi Archive, Dietrich.
Yeah, I'm here too. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's not a surprise to anyone that Grant is mysteriously missing yet again.
That poser.
But that poser. He's such a poser, man. Like,
He is.
when I think of people posing as
Grant.
things that they aren't, Grant is number one on the list. And, you know, he's never going to believe you said it, Wesley.
Dictionary, picture, Grant.
Side by side, right there.
What's the word?
Oh, wired
Poser.
up.
We were talking about poser. Poser was the word of the week last week, by the way. That's
Oh,
what
was
Master Yoda chose. I can't do it again, so we can't harp on posing too much, I guess.
Sounds like a poser to me.
You call him Master Yoda a poser? Oh.
Yeah, just Master Yoda, not the person who does voices as Master Yoda. Whatever imply a real person.
There's someone behind the man?
Not
the
not
myth,
that
the
not
legend?
that I understand.
So let's stop posing as podcasters and let's really podcast. Now hear this.
Now hear this! Now hear this!
Now you hear this, whoever you are.
So we have some Disney Star Wars news, folks, and I know that some folks hate Disney Star Wars, but it's current and it's news, so we have to report it. First off, Andor Season 2 has a returning cast member from Rogue One. We all know him and love him. Australian actor Ben Mendelsohn, who played Director Krennic. He will be reprising his role. So obviously, I don't think this is like a big shock, but it is nice to know that we're going to kind of get more into a Rogue One lead up in this season. I believe it's the last season of Andor.
I hope they cross paths in a well-written way, because it would be odd for them to do so right now, because Krennic is like a science expert guy. Cassian is more of a spy. If Director Krennic was somehow involved with the ISB, it would make more sense, but I don't know. It's gonna be a weird coming across paths there.
The way that Andor Season 1 was shot, not everyone had to meet up with one another. Like, you know, we had the story with Mon Mothma, we had the story with Cassian Andor, we had the story with, gosh, what is the older guy's name? Stellan Skarsgård's character. I can't think of his name. Gosh. It's alright.
I can't either.
But I can't either. And he's such a cool, he's like my favorite character in the show. And I cannot remember his
Luthien
name.
Rael? Luthien something.
Oh yeah. Luthien. Yeah, that's right. You're on to something. We'll figure it out later. Whatever.
Edit it in.
Edit it out. Nah, I'm gonna leave that in.
No,
there.
edit it in. I mean, edit it in.
Edit it in. Just
Edit.
But yeah, I don't think that Andor has to cross paths with Krennic. I think that would be weird. So I'm hoping like they keep his story kind of separate.
Also weird that we're not getting K2SO before we get Krennic. I feel like K2SO was the next person to be brought in.
But we didn't. No one said we weren't. It's just there's just not an announcement for that.
Oh, fair.
And, I mean, and if you think about it, anyone could play K2SO. I mean, really, the voice thing, you can make that work. It's just a voice, really.
And you know, Yoda's just a voice in some ways, right?
Yep.
He sort of is.
In all ways. Yeah, I don't think you have anything to worry about the writing. I think Season 2 is going to be so good. Or at least-
I think Season 2 is going to be great.
I don't think there's any reason to doubt it yet.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you got a lot of people who review bomb and hate things before they even air.
I will say that everybody who I have seen, I've gotten in a few discussions online about it, and I can't find any reason why. I've read a lot of stuff, and I don't see any. A lot of people say it breaks canon and stuff. I don't see that, but anyways, whatever.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
A lot of those same people are saying that Andor is their favorite show, so I do have a lot of hope for Andor season 2.
Yeah, it's a slow burn, man. Because I heard, there's some people that just hate it because it's so slow. Like, it's so slow, and I'm like, you were one of those people.
I almost stopped watching it, man. I almost stopped. I'm glad I didn't, but the first 3 episodes are a slow burn, dude. And some of those rebels look real bad.
Like, didn't you watch TV back in the day where you had to wait a week for an hour's worth of show, or not even like 45 minutes worth of show in commercials?
Yeah, what's your point?
My point is, it would take you half a year to get through a whole season of something. When Andor came out every single week, and it was the same thing. It's just like watching TV back in the day.
Can I bring, on that point, Blake, can I bring something up? Like, I think
Bring it up.
TV or streaming shows should go back to these 20 episode seasons or 30 episodes, just put out a lot
30.
of whatever, because we used to have that all the time, like this high volume of episodes. But now you get like 10 episodes.
Cost and production used to be a lot less. I will say that.
Well, it doesn't need to be as expensive.
Come on, though. What?
It doesn't.
Okay. Give me a break, though, because if that shit cheap as hell, and we call them out already when their shit looks cheap as hell. So if they did a worse job,
we call them out because they have the budget right now. If they didn't have the budget, it'd be different.
Right.
It'd be a little different.
Okay, so let me ask you this:
We
so if
know the budget.
Disney produced one show, 10 episodes of something that was absolute gold, would you prefer that to 5 things that they produce in the same timeline that is only mediocre?
Well, mediocre in terms of story or in terms of how it looks. If it's going to look like...
I would say it's going to look 4 out of 10. It's going to be right under mediocre.
It's going to look like a sitcom. It's going to look like a sitcom off of CBS.
What would you pick?
The grandiose graphics help Star Wars a lot. But if the story was there, I think I'd be on board. Because if it all looked the same, I think it would be fine. I mean, I'll watch Young Sheldon if it was the quality of Young Sheldon that has 20 episodes in a season.
All I know is we love to attack the quality of these shows. So if they were any worse, I feel like we would definitely give them a lot of shit.
Yeah, but I only do that based on the budget that they have. If they didn't have $130 million put into this show, I would give them a pass. But dude, they got so much money to make this look great and to do this and to do this. If they didn't have the money, it'd be different. That's just me. So in other news, on to Ahsoka now. Season 2, we may be getting Abeloth. This may be a rumor. But from what I'm seeing online, there's a lot of people who are presuming that Abeloth will be the big bad in Ahsoka Season 2, which I just don't... Or we're at least getting Abeloth in Ahsoka Season 2. I don't know how true that is. I think we've... I guess the whole Thrawn thing's going to get resolved in the Mando movie. But what do you guys think about Abeloth being a big bad in Ahsoka Season 2? First off, we know who Abeloth is.
No. Help me out.
Sounds like a worm.
So Abeloth is like... Go ahead, Diedrich. You're the Jedi Archive. You bring it to us.
So I'm sure you remember the Clone Wars episodes that are about meeting the Ones. It's the father, the son, and the daughter. Remember those?
Yes.
So in Legends, I don't think this is technically canon, but in Legends, Luke goes and somehow visits that same location and encounters Abeloth, who ends up being the mother. Now, she is not naturally the mother. She was somebody else who found that same site that Obi-Wan and Anakin found. Yeah, found Mortis.
She found Mortis.
And was basically adopted into the family. She was never like a god, but she dipped herself in the 2 pools.
Yeah.
There was a pool of power and a pool of knowledge, something like that. And she becomes this kind of crazy monster deity. And if you look up pictures online, she's almost Cthulhu-esque.
Yeah.
Kind of like scary, mouthy with the teeth. Think of that, the new Sith, the new Sith with the teeth on the helmet. Very, very similar to that.
Smiley.
Yeah.
So I don't think Luke ever made it there. It was like she was like the last big bad villain in Legends or the expanded universe.
Ooh.
Yeah, which was, I mean, it was a good build up. She was a good final villain. I think she should be the final villain in all of Star Wars whenever they decide to
It would
end
be
Star
odd to
Wars.
have her, as she was presented in Legends, to be the main villain of this series because she'd be too powerful. However, Ahsoka is somewhat the embodiment of the light side of the Force.
I think she'd either be too powerful or she would be so underpowered we wouldn't be happy with it. For reference, in Legends, Luke Skywalker teams up with a tribe of Sith. It was a lost tribe of the Sith to fight this monster. And I think Darth Krayt, like, it was kind of weird. It's been a long time since I've read it, but like Darth Krayt came from like the future or something, and it was like a whole big weird thing in that last book where they fight Abeloth. But she came from the Maw.
That's canon.
Which is like this collection of...
The Maw's canon.
Is
because
the Maw
it exists
canon?
right outside of Kessel. We see it in Solo.
That's right. Yeah, it is. So she her presence kind of started residing in the Maw that they sent the young Jedis to in Legends when they were young, when they were fighting the Yuzun Vong. And she starts driving the Jedi crazy. They've all grown up and they're teenagers and young adults now, and she drives them crazy, and no one knows why the young Jedi are going nuts. And it's Abeloth pulling the strings in the background, and then she fights Luke Skywalker and a tribe of Sith. It is, I mean, it's like the villain to end all villains in Star Wars. So I could see problems if they introduce it. If they introduced it right, maybe she's not quite as powerful as she was in Legends, but she can't be too underpowered because people are just gonna be like, man, that sucked. So I might be one of those people. Y'all know how I felt about Ahsoka.
Yep. Yes, we do.
Yeah, but what inspired people to think this rumor of Abeloth is going to be like the villain in Ahsoka season 2?
For one, at the end of Ahsoka season 1, you see the father, the son, and then like the daughter with her head cut off, the statues.
Mm-hmm.
That Balin's skull standing
okay.
on.
Balin references that something is calling him, and it's like deep and powerful. And Abeloth would fit that description.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah. She would. And the Twix, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, there's someone who posted, someone who's reliable. I can't think of his name right now.
Luke
So
Skywalker.
maybe it's bad. Maybe this is bad reporting. It wasn't Luke Skywalker. I've had entanglements with Luke Skywalker on Twitter. He don't like me very much.
Well, there have been rumors about that since that episode dropped. I mean,
Yeah, but he's reporting it as if it's true.
Ah.
Like he's heard it's true. But he's supposedly a reliable source. So I don't know how true it is. So that's why I'm labeling it as a rumor.
Cool.
All right, Diedrich. Diedrich's got some news for us as well. He's pregnant, everyone. No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
It'd be weird. It'd be weird if he was pregnant.
it's immaculate or something. So the news is my favorite character in all of Star Wars has a Lego set. Darth Jar Jar.
Not regular Jar Jar, folks. Darth Jar Jar.
Moi, moi!
Jar Jar, it's Palpatine. Look, I need to apologize for manipulating you into granting me emergency powers. It was wrong, and I'm sorry.
Oh, say yes! Right, Palpy. You some manipulated me. Okay, Pappy.
It's technically called the Dark Falcon set, and it's got the Falcon, but it's almost like a red and black painted design with some Sith emblems on it. And my favorite part is the little radar dish is replaced with a mini star laser, so they can go around blowing up planets in their little shenanigans.
Nice, man. Should have seen it on Exegol.
Yeah, that'd been great. So the minifigures, I think it's Darth Jar Jar, of course, which is like the main draw for everyone.
That's right.
And then you also get what is like a light side Darth Vader, so like a white suited Vader with a blue lightsaber. And
Dude.
you get Darth Rey. And then what looks like Obi-Wan if he was a spice dealer. So that could be really cool for your imaginations to work with.
You know what? I might buy this set.
That
Dude. I
sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
I
it
get
does
into
sound
like
good.
the mini Lego, the little mini Lego sets. I don't usually get the big ones because they're expensive and I have nowhere to put them. But I'm gonna have to find somewhere to put this one.
So does this solidify this is canon?
Oh God,
I'm pretty sure none of it's canon. That would be that'd be a wild world between worlds kind of thing.
But there is a Disney Plus Lego like what if series thing going on with it's got Darth Jar Jar in it. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, I don't know if it's released yet. I hadn't seen it. It may have released already. Now I feel like a bad fan. I don't know if it's released yet, but
Poser.
I'm a poser. Dork Wars the podcast has a merchandise store.
Merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Open up the store.
We've got Dork Wars the coffee mug, Dork Wars the t-shirt. We've got Dork Wars the Cortosis Sith helmet that will take out any lightsaber, short it out, deems it unusable for
5 seconds.
about 20 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. We'll go 10. We'll go halvesies on that. 10 seconds. We really don't have that. That'd be cool. Except for you can just bonk it with a lightsaber and it just cracks open and it's done. But anyways, the lightsaber hilt messes it up. We'll talk about that later.
It looks kind of old. It does look a little beat up.
It is, yeah. It's been in the family. It's been passed down. You can find all of that at dorkwarspodcast.com. There you can also find everywhere we stream. We are on Facebook, Twitter, X, Twix, whatever you want to call that. And we're even on TikTok. We actually had a pretty good TikTok this week that kind of blew up a little bit, which has to do with this episode. So we might talk about that TikTok later. But check out our TikTok. We do a lot of fun videos, a lot of good discussions go on there. And we also have something cool in our Dork Wars merchandise store right now. For a limited time, we are selling some Kiadi Mundi t-shirts with the caption, "But what about the droid attack on my birthday?" Tell me you don't want one of those. Tell me you don't want one of those t-shirts to commemorate all of the Kiadi Mundi hubbub that's been going on lately.
Blake, I got something to tell you.
What?
I need like 10 of those shirts right now.
Oh, I got you 10 for your birthday. That's just...
Oh no,
Cool.
It's not for another 6
I
months.
thought I was going to have to return them. I thought you were going to tell me you didn't want them.
So 6 months from now, when nobody remembers the Coyote Mundi stuff, I can wear one every day of the week.
Every day of the... Well, I mean,
That's-
every day for like 2 weeks
That's-
of business time.
That's called banter right there, boys.
Oh, yeah. But check out dorkwarspodcast.com where you can find everything Dork Wars and find something you like, pick something out, buy it, and wear it around. Dork Wars, the podcast, is also a part of the Subculture Podcast Network.
This show is part of the Subculture Podcast Network. For pop culture and entertainment podcasts, go to bio.link/subculturepodnetwork. Prepare to be entertained.
So tonight we are talking about the Acolyte, Episode 5, Night.
The Jedi justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace. But that peace is a lie.
Before we get into the episode, I do have to warn you there are spoilers for the Acolyte, Episode 5, Night.
Attention. Spoilers.
I mean, we kind of spoiled stuff earlier, a little bit, but if you really don't want to hear any spoilers, turn off Dork Wars, the podcast, go watch The Acolyte, come back to us when you're current, and let's see what's going on.
Grant was right.
Yeah, I guess, but we're not gonna tell it.
What was he right about?
We're not gonna boost the title of the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, it being the opposite.
But I mean, it wasn't that big of a jump, man. Like the last episode ended at nighttime. It was called day. Like
You know how Grant is. Like he's gonna feel all good about himself, and now he's gonna hold this over our heads for months now.
For real.
that's all right. I played the audio last episode. I'm not gonna play it this episode about him being wrong. I have to keep that in my back pocket to keep him humble, you know. But what do you guys think of this episode? I was pretty blown away. Let's get some general thoughts. General thoughts on the episode. Wesley, let's come to you, buddy. What you thinking?
It was a good episode. Very interesting. And I had some surprises in it for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's my brief general thoughts on it.
Andrew, brief general thoughts on this episode.
Brief general thoughts on this episode. This episode was pretty solid. Probably the best episode so far. And it answered a lot of questions. It also gave us some new questions, which is surprising that we still have twists. So that's how I feel.
Yeah. Your brief general thoughts on the Acolyte episode 5 Night.
I thought it was really good. Definitely a step up. I would say I think we're going to be talking about these lightsaber duels for years to come. So I think in many ways, some of these fights and some things that happen in this episode will be referenced specifically in this podcast and probably more generally throughout the fan base for a long time to come. I really wish this had been like episode 3. I feel like we needed something like this sooner to get people hooked. I think if this had come a little bit sooner, we wouldn't have such a negativity that we get about this show right now. So unnecessarily. But that's my general thoughts. I do have some gripes. Don't get me wrong. This is not a perfect episode. This is not a perfect piece of Star Wars media. But generally speaking, I think it's probably the best episode so far, and I think one of the best episodes Disney has produced in their shows, period.
Wow. Look at that glowing review.
That's huge coming from Dietrich too. Dietrich doesn't give out like 10s or high praise like that. So
I'm gonna have to get a reel of Dietrich doing 10s.
You'll have to do a reel. It'll just be Dietrich doing like 7, 5, 4, 6, 8, 7.
It was 3.
And then it'll be this one 10.
That's perfect. I might have to do that. But I'm gonna have to follow Dietrich. I think this was a great episode as a whole. On the whole, it was a good episode. Lightsaber battles. I think some of the best we've seen they are the best we have seen since Revenge of the Sith, since the prequel era. Best. Hands down. Better than anything in the sequel trilogy. Better than anything we saw in Ahsoka. Period. We'll get to it, Wesley. We'll get to it.
You had to bring up Ahsoka like that.
Yeah, I did. I will get to my gripes as well. I've got some as well. They might be matching. We might be twins tonight, Dietrich. Who knows?
Twin gripes.
But I think on the whole, they did a fantastic job. It is exactly what this show needed to really get started. If we got it sooner, though, I don't know if we'd be as attached to some of the characters. Not that we were that attached to them anyways.
Agreed.
I mean, I think it could have been a good thing. Because, I mean, there's been a lot of death in this show. So, saying that, this episode was brutal. It was brutal. A lot of death. We knew that a lot of people had to die when they find the Sith guy, who actually says he's a Sith. He proclaims himself to be a Sith.
He does say that.
The line is, and I watched it again today, the line is, there's no name for me, but you might call me a Sith, or you might call me Sith. So
yeah.
It also lets me believe a little bit that there might be some idea through the Jedi that any red lightsaber wielding thing might be a Sith, right? So I don't know. That line was not clear enough to me to definitively say whether he is a Sith or not. Andrew, what?
Just because you proclaim yourself to be a Sith doesn't mean you are a Sith. So everybody upset about them, like, oh, it's a Sith and it shouldn't be a Sith. I mean,
if this guy is not part of that Darth Bane lineage, then he is not really a Sith, and we don't know that he is part of that yet.
See, and that is a strong point.
So, yeah, we don't know that he's really a Sith. If he is really a Sith, all that means is Master Soul has to die before he tells anybody, because he's the only one
I'll
that
say
knows.
this, he's powerful. Like if he's not a Sith, it would be weird to explain how much he's able to just smash those Jedi.
Well, maybe he's a splinter order of the Sith. And that's actually, I've got a theory about it. I'll let Andrew go real quick before I do it, because I'm getting real theoretical here.
What if he's the Acolyte? I mean, obviously the show's probably about May and Osha, but
Well, I think it's one of those show titles, much like The Mandalorian, where it's probably about Din Djarin, but we see so many Mandalorians in.
I mean,
the
season
series.
3, Bo-Katan's the Mandalorian, I think.
Right.
You know?
Well, in the Acolyte, where we think it's basically May, it may turn out to really be more about Quamir.
Yeah. Which I'm totally cool with. Totally cool with. So here's my deep dark theory, guys. He's got a helmet, not unlike Kylo Ren's. He's got a garb, not unlike Kylo Ren's. They also play bits of the Kylo Ren theme at the end of the episode with him. Could he be Ren? Which is
The
first of the Knights of
first
Ren. He
one.
starts the Knights of Ren. Could that be a Splinter Order?
That's a decent theory.
what are the Knights of Ren?
Kylo Ren is their master in the sequel trilogy. They are all these like dark cloaked masked
In the comic books, Kylo Ren had to kill the master of the Knights of Ren to be the master of the Knights of Ren.
Okay, so this is
And
like
he
a
did
comic book thing because I didn't catch that in the
Well,
movie.
it's in the sequel trilogy, but it's like they made it out to be like this big deal and then did nothing with it. We do see them at the end of Rise of Skywalker. It's all those armored people
So
with the weapons.
let me ask this though: like, how do we feel about Star Wars moving into lore that is really solidifying the sequels?
I mean, it's
I'm
happening.
fine with it.
I mean, it's not.
I mean,
they're
I
not
know, but how do you
decanonizing
feel
them.
about it? I mean, we hate the sequels. We hate where it goes. We hate what it is. So how?
Yeah,
how
I mean, we
is,
don't like.
I think, but part of the reason why I think a lot of people hate the sequel so much is there's no context given to almost everything we're shown.
Yeah.
It's just even lines of dialogue are so clunky. We really don't even quite understand the political makeup of anything and who's fighting who and who has what.
Yeah,
and,
why does the resistance exist? Like, why isn't the New Republic fighting the First Order? Like, that's weird. And there are books that explain stuff like that, but it's still a strange concept on the whole. And we're getting some of those answers, but I don't know if those answers are going to be good enough to justify the sequels, to me at least. But I do like the idea of the Knights of Ren. I think that was one of the cool ideas of the sequels. I think they had a ton of great ideas in the sequels, but they were executed very poorly. But yeah, I think he might be Ren. That might be his name. He might be Ren.
I doubt he would be the guy in the comic books who is Ren, because that dude seems to be. I mean, the age difference is quite drastic. That dude seems to be pretty ripped and in his like 30s.
Yeah. So it's probably not
you know?
him.
does that comic book take place now?
That comic book takes place when Ben Solo is probably what, like 16?
Oh, so he'd be like 130, is what you're saying. Yeah, that's
Right,
He'd have to
yeah.
be like 160 at that
Yeah.
point, about 150, 160 years old.
So the timeline won't work out, but he could be the one that starts that tradition.
He
You know,
could be.
he could very well be the one that starts the.
It could be
Knights.
the Knights of Khmer until Ren takes over.
Knights
Who
of
knows?
Khmer.
Which actually has a cool ring to it, if you think about it. I also like how we were talking about Darth Jar Jar earlier. This guy gives me Darth Jar Jar vibes because he was so goofy at the beginning. He was so comical.
Definitely.
They're leaning into like, oh, you did. I guess we all kind of guessed it was him by some of the dialogue, but he was like a really goofy guy.
Yeah,
kind of.
He's silly in many ways, and he's one of those people you wouldn't think, but they show him so much where we're like, okay, he's got to be this, right.
Yeah, they leaned into it a little. They didn't lean into that aspect as much as it was the dialogue that they gave, which I think was cool. I think it was a cool
I don't
thing.
think so. I think there would have been more of a mystery if there were just more people that were helping her out, and it wasn't just there's only one side.
Only
character.
one person. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw the muscles, I'm like, oh, yep, it's him.
He's ripped.
I'll say this though, he seems like a decent master.
Yeah.
When you really look at what he does to help May achieve her tasks, compared to other Jedi Masters we've seen, he actually seems like he cares.
He doesn't
in a weird way.
try to kill her, and he also protects her. Straight up.
Yeah, He didn't try to off his student. That's a good point.
I mean, he already called her useless, and
Well,
he
he
called
doesn't-
her, and he said it was.
He doesn't try to kill her until he's been found out. But up until that point, he does everything he can. He helps make that poison so she can poison the one Jedi. He tells her, remember the Sith code, basically, back in that little shop he had. He gives her hints and tips and tricks, and when they're walking along the path in the last episode, Day, he's kind of trying to help her figure out the riddle of how do you kill a Jedi without a weapon, because he's like, well, are you allowed to grab their lightsaber? Does that count? Like, watching back now, I'm like, is he telling her basically you can? Here's your options.
Right. And that gives more context on episode 4, which a lot of people didn't like because they were like, oh, everyone walked around the woods for a while. And I'm kind of there. Yeah, it was a little sparse for me. But at the same time,
he gets her water in that same episode. He tells her he doesn't like the fact that she's resting, but he's going to help her out.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's odd. And then at the end of episode 5, he finds Osha and in a weird kind of sign of kindness, like puts his cloak over her and seems to be.
I would like to
admirable
point out
of her.
that that's also him as a different character. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like an actual different character. I just mean like he was playing
He's
a
playing the
character.
part.
He's playing the part.
Yeah.
He is the Palpatine who is seeming friendly.
Exactly.
To Anakin.
And so I think
get
that's
it.
also part of the leaning into how Jedis weren't necessarily able to pinpoint his exact area, even though they knew there was something there, and that's why they were there. You know, so
That's what our TikTok was about. People were people were.
there's so many points
upset
I've
about
seen
that.
on TikTok and Reddit and other message boards.
I think his acting though is just absolutely phenomenal. It reminds me of Ian McDermott, and I think that's just an excellent.
Oh yeah,
great casting choice, who I didn't think much of because I had seen him in The Good Place as a very stupid, goofy kind of guy, much like he is in this.
at the beginning.
Right? I think Blake was about to hit on that. He's very similar, but we kind of find out that is all.
And that's the Darth. That's how we theorize when we talk about Darth Jar Jar. Go back and listen to our first May 4th episode, way back in 2021. It's back there. You just got to scroll down a little bit on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you're listening to us at, and that's one of the things we said. Like kind of like Master Yoda is in the original trilogy, where Master Yoda is a goofy little green guy who's trying to steal food and beats R2 with his stick, and like he's really goofy, and then all of a sudden he's the Jedi Master. We say that's kind of how Darth Jar Jar was supposed to be. You know, he was this really goofy character who got into trouble and was, you know, kind of disobedient to Qui-Gon and made fun of him behind his back, and then he would reveal himself instead of being this little goofy alien guy. He's actually the Dark Lord of the Sith. I think that's some inspiration for Khmer, man. I really do, because that is exactly what we would think Darth Jar Jar would be like.
Yeah, Darth Jar Jar would have been the best twist, man.
Anyone know Jar Jar's birthday? I do not.
No.
But I tell you what, if he shows up, everybody will learn his birthday fast. Okay? They will look that up, and they will post it all over social media and be like, Jar Jar's not supposed to be here.
Yeah, I keep...
Gungans only live 70 years. They don't live for 500 years. Who knows how long a Gungan lives? Anyways, I digress.
I think they're like human.
So, Wesley, what are your highs for this episode? What are the good things? I know we've been talking about some good things we liked. What are some of your good things? I know Diedrich kind of went over some of his good things. I'm going to ask him too, but I'm going to go to you first.
The teacher talked about the combat earlier. That was pretty good. I do have some gripes about the combat as well, but it was some good stuff going on there. Actually my biggest praise is probably gonna be for Jecki. Is that her name? Jackie?
Yeah, Jecki Lawn.
Jecki.
Yeah,
Jecki Lawn.
I really admired like that actress, the choreograph, everything she did. Like her role in this
Daphne.
episode was very strong, I think.
Her fighting style when she had those 2 lightsabers is exactly how I think they should bring a young Ahsoka to real life. If they ever were to somehow do a Clone Wars real people version.
And my jab at Blake here is I bet Blake hated Jackie because she's very similar to Ahsoka.
Yep.
But I don't hate Ahsoka. I hate the Ahsoka show. That's different.
No, okay, hold on. Roll the clip. Roll the clip. You hated Ahsoka. You did not hate the show. You hated Ahsoka. You did not like how she was portrayed.
When I say Ahsoka, I meant the show.
No, you did not like how she portrayed, dude. Roll the clip, man. Come on.
The main plot points were started before the series began. They are continuing after this series has ended. Nothing, even in a season of a show, there's usually a storyline that goes through the entire show, and that storyline for that season is resolved. That does not happen here in the slightest. So, and that's kind of where I'm at. Maybe I'll give it. I'll tell you what. I'll give it a 5.5. So I'm not the lowest. 5 is fine because there were some cool visuals. There were some cool plot points, and at least season 3 of Mandalorian did have a story. Was it the best thing ever? No, but it did have a story. Boba Fett has a story. Was it done well? I don't think so, but it has a story there that begins and ends.
That's whack. That's a lie. Yes.
No, but Jecki reminds me a lot of young Ahsoka. And the Ahsoka that I really like, and the characterizations of Ahsoka that I like. She is diligent. She is mean with some lightsabers, dude. I did not expect her to be so fierce. Because, she's got the green lightsaber.
She can brawl, too.
Yeah. She can brawl.
She is Street Fighter.
They talk about the green lightsabers for those with wisdom or whatever. I don't know if that's really canon. They say it's canon about the lightsabers and the colors. I don't know if we've ever confirmed that.
But if that's true, I feel like Soul would have a green lightsaber.
Yeah, he's definitely more of a Qui-Gon Jinn type character with the wisdom and all. But Jecki, dude, got down.
They definitely got
down.
Yeah.
Daphne Keene is the actress. She played X-23 in Logan.
Oh,
are you serious? Like
10
years ago?
Yeah, she was a kid. Oh my god!
And you remember her fight? You remember her fight scenes in that movie?
Yeah,
they were raw
tough,
too.
Yeah,
dude, that's crazy, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for her.
She was fantastic. She's a fantastic actress. I think she's playing this spot on. I think the acting as a whole is pretty good in this show too. But I'll get to that in my praises. Any other praises, Wesley, before I move on?
I don't want to take it. I want to get everyone else a chance to.
Oh, it sucks, huh? Is that what you're saying? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just joking. Andrew, what are your highs, man? What's good about this episode?
What's good about this episode? I think, like Dietrich said, the combat is top tier for the most part. I did not like how... Okay, so very beginning in the fight, there's a part where he's just like slaying Jedi back to back. It seemed a little too easy, but maybe that's the point.
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
Okay. Remember later on in the episode when May is running away? She runs several times, but I think this is one of the last times she's running away. He gets in her mind, and it shows a real close-up of the helmet on the screen, and he is invading her mind, and I can't remember, but I call him Paladin Jedi Knight in my brain because he's very like proper, and I'm a Knight of the Order, that guy.
Yeah.
What's that guy?
Yord.
He has Yord, okay.
Yeah.
And Yord is like, I don't understand him. He gets in your head. So that battle, he's getting in Jedi's heads, and he is messing with them to the point where they can barely fight, much like Palpatine supposedly does in the Senate fight scene when the Jedi come to arrest him.
I was going to say, it was a lot like that scene where the Jedi Masters come to arrest Palpatine, and he just...
now, in all fairness,
all of them.
I don't care for how that scene comes across, so I get Andrew's gripe, but it has happened before, and there's kind of a precedent set that Sith will mess with weak-minded Jedi pretty easy.
And because I was also going to point out that the only thing that kind of made it believable to me is last time, in the last episode, you mentioned a lot of them are just Padawans, too. I mean, they're not all... Like, it's not a group of masters or knights, there's Padawans.
They're mostly knights. I think they're mostly knights.
But still, they probably have their Padawans with them. You know what I mean? So it could be half and half. I mean, maybe.
They looked a little older, but I don't know. I mean, I have no idea.
That is true.
We don't have any context.
You can be a Padawan until you're like mid-20s. I mean, looked at Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Obi-Wan.
He was an old Padawan.
But look how he progressed, though. Like, he got to master pretty quick, if you think about it.
Yeah. He spent a long time in Stage 1.
Yeah, he was a late bloomer, man. He was a late bloomer.
He spent maybe 5 years as a knight and then got promoted. What was it?
Yeah. When do you think his balls dropped? Do you want to have that conversation? I'm just kidding.
When did the beard come in? Whenever that happened.
Whenever that comes in. All happened at once. It's like, hey, I hate Anakin. I am Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hello there. Hello there, Satine. Would you like to see my lightsaber? Andrew, any other highs in this episode other than the combat?
Yeah, so, I mean, just more of an extension to the combat. The way that he killed everybody is pretty sure it's the exact same ways that he described that the Acolyte was, or that May was supposed to kill Jedi. He killed one hand-to-hand combat with no lightsaber. He killed one outsmarting him. He killed one with a lightsaber. I mean, isn't that what he's supposed to...
He shish kebab those two. That was pretty cool.
I mean, like, so it's just another point towards, I don't know, I think it's just a small detail. Other than that...
That's a good one. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I wanted to say that too. I just didn't know how to word. Like, I love the way he killed everybody. Like, that sounds bad. But...
I love murder.
No. Well, the other big point for me is kind of the acting. I mean, everything seemed believable, more believable in this episode than, like, there have been some points in the other episodes that were different, but, and then also the twist at the end, the big twist, the big disguise. I think that's really important.
That will be interesting. That sets up the next episode to be kind of cool.
Yeah. You talking about the switch?
Yeah.
The flip?
The twin flip.
Okay.
So now May is Osha.
When your folks are square, then you must prepare.
What do you gotta prepare?
The Parent Trap.
Deidre, I know we've talked about your highs a little bit. Any other highs other than like the combat and things like that?
Top tier dialogue between Soul and Quamir. Absolutely. We'll be referencing that standoff and what those words between those two characters were said for years, I think.
I mean, it's good dialogue in general, but definitely good for Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is usually really, really clunky, really like, I'm bad, you're good, I'm bad. Very, but this was like talking about the gray area in between.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
When he was like, you just killed a child, and Quamir says, you brought her here? I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sick burn, bro, sick burn.
Anyway, that was top tier performance and dialogue. So,
yeah, agreed.
I can agree with all that. You guys came up with some good stuff. Because those were mine as well. The acting was very good this episode. I think Master Soul, Quamir, and Jecki Lon have been really good this entire series. I think they've done a great job acting their characters. I think some of the other ones, I like Yord. Yord kind of, I think
he grows
I don't
on
like
you.
Yord. Yeah, he grows on you. I think I just didn't like him because he came off as a jerk to begin with, you know? But it's not the acting. I mean, he's supposed to be like that.
He's stiff. He's just a stiff dude.
He is. And another thing that I really like.
Yeah, I don't know how he did that because like every episode we're just like, man, we don't really like that character, and all of a sudden this episode we just find ourselves, oh my god, no,
oh my god, Yord's dead.
No, yeah.
Well, there has been the hashtag Yord Horde on social media that's been like Yord stands, like they've all liked Yord. I don't know why, but I asked someone posted about it today, and I was like, well, what are you guys gonna do now? And they're like, well, I guess we're all going to fangirl over Quamir. And I'm like, well, that's the way to do it. I mean, he kind of won by victory. I mean, he did snap his neck.
So I think that Dietrich's right. I think that he's going to end up being kind of a well-liked character now that his story ended. I think maybe we'll see more of him, you know what I mean, in future stuff.
I like how brutal this episode is. Dude, it's brutal. Just
for Star Wars for sure. Disney Star Wars.
For Star Wars for sure. We don't get many.
We've seen
scenes.
So many people get stabbed in the chest and be fine, and to finally see somebody dies, it's refreshing.
Yes.
To be frank.
Dude, the freaking Jecki Lon Swiss cheese. I mean, just oh my god, just stab her 3 times, man. Like it was when that happened, I was like, no. Like I knew all the guys we didn't have names for. I knew they were dying. Like I knew it. And the shish kebab move, I like the shish kebab move where he puts the one Jedi on that and then brings the other one, force pushes him on the other end of the lights. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. In the fight, dude, Jecki and Kamir going at it, or the stranger, whatever you want to call him, but I'm still calling him Kamir, was amazing fight, and she gets killed. He snaps Yord's neck. Just, oh my gosh, loved it. I didn't think they were going to show
I hate to belabor the point of the combat being awesome, but I really love how they kept it fresh with like the styles. They showed the different styles because the whole episode is really one long kind of combat, but they broke it up. And every little fight is also different between the helmet being used to break up the lightsabers, the 2 lightsabers being brought out, Cormier breaking his lightsaber into 2 and stabbing.
Yeah, it escalates.
They really keep it going and keep it fresh, even though it's basically 20 minutes of a lightsaber fight.
Yeah, that's longer than the Mustafar lightsaber fight. That one was only like 13 minutes long. This one was like a 20-minute fight. Kamir having the little Shoto blade. When he popped that thing out, I was like, oh, dude, it's going down. Yeah, like you said, not to belabor how great the combat was, but it was a great episode for combat. One of the best fights we've seen in a long time. Those were kind of my highs, and like I said, the performance, the dialogue, and the combat. Kind of like what we've all been saying. So let's get to the gripes, man. This is the fun part, where we get to be haters.
Let's hate.
Hate. Drink some of that haterade, brother. Wesley.
Yeah.
What you be hating on, man? You had something that was brewing behind your eyes. I synced it.
Yeah, man. There were a couple of things that stood out to me.
Couple things.
Yeah.
It's the perfect Star Wars, man. No,
I've got 3, so I bet somebody's gonna say some of them, but I've got 3 things that were sins.
I got some too. I'm just joking with you.
In general, the first thing that stood out to me was like, there's no concept of stamina. They were just constantly fighting, and no one was sweating. No one seemed to be out of breath. Everyone just seemed to be full strength the entire episode. And so
Kamir was ripped, dude. He's been training.
I'll also say this: Cormier knows how to force heal.
Ooh.
He does that. He force heals Osha when he finds her at the end of the episode. So he could be force healing himself throughout the 20 minutes of combat too. And he fights different people at different times. So it's him who's the only one constantly fighting for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
He's also sweating.
There might be some space in there too. There might be a little space. I will say, like Jecki launch. I mean, when she goes to fight him, like you can tell that she's wearing down. When she gets stabbed and killed, like she was she was moving fast and doing that, but you could tell like her motions were wearing down. Like she wasn't as keen at the end of that fight as she was at the beginning. That's my opinion, anyway.
And I guess the one other thing I'll just bring up right now is right after, was it Yord? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Right after his neck was snapped, then like the very next scene, Osha was told that don't believe Master Soul, he's lying to you, and so okay, well, I'm trying to set this up right, but Osha just saw like her best friend's neck get snapped, and then her
Two Jedi's walking to a bar. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and then her first question is like, she's not concerned about that. She's like, "You've been lying to me," and the dialogue there didn't feel right. It didn't seem right. That's the first thing that's on her mind.
Who was she asking about lying to her?
She was asking that to Master Soul.
Well, in all fairness, there's nothing she can do for Yord, but there is something she can do about what people are telling her and what she believes to be the truth.
Yeah, and I also don't think
she
has. I mean, she's not upset about any other Jedi that died. Why would she be upset about Yord? It's not like they were close.
Well, they had some kind of past, it seemed like.
They were friends at Jedi school or something.
Yeah. That's what, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's
maybe
true.
Maybe they were getting it on in the back room of the training center.
And she and Jecki were seemingly friendly.
There was probably a scene cut or something.
Yeah, I think those are the kind of things you sacrifice when you have these 8-episode shows. You know, and I've seen some nitpicks on that where they're like, dude, like she just saw all these Jedi get slaughtered. She was a Jedi at one point. She knew these people and they all got skewered. And it means nothing to her. And I'm like, well, she really didn't have time to be too flummoxed about it. You know, like we don't have that much time in the episode. How many people, if they had done that, said, man, they wasted time on her grieving all these people, and they didn't give us any
Princess
story.
Leia lost her whole planet and kept it moving.
Kept it moving. Look, Luke loses Obi-Wan, who he's known for like, what, 2 or 3 days, maybe at max. And she lost her mom, her dad, her whole planet, and she's comforting him on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Like, what? It's okay. Obi-Wan's in a better place, and
I never thought
my
of that.
entire planet's destroyed. Like, we don't see that scene, and we need it. Oh goodness. I think that's just some of the things you sacrifice. You sacrifice some of that character to character emotion, relationship stuff when you have to get through the story because it's only 8 episodes. All right, Andrew, you got some gripes, man. I feel some gripes coming from you.
Man.
Gripe the gripes. Grip the gripes.
Forgot all my gripes, my man.
Well, you said one earlier when you're supposed to be positive and you got into a gripe. But
okay, so my actual gripes. I think my number one gripe of the whole episode is going to be a weird one. We got a dude who's super powerful and only flies for dramatic effect. It doesn't make any sense. He should have been flying during the sick-ass combat scenes. There should have been some sort of flying. The whole focus thing and whatever, no, I don't care. He should have been flying.
Kamir is a Coruscant drama school dropout, okay? And that's how he turns to the dark side. I don't know if you know his backstory. It's in a comic book that they released about 5 years ago that they only gave to like 3 people. Yeah.
Oh God.
And yeah, it's deep cut stuff, man. If you were not a poser of a fan, you would know all about the Kamir's Coruscant Theater School training and how he has to be dramatic.
Is this Adolf Kamir?
Adolf Kamir. He did paint a little as well. It's in issue 3. Issue 3. It's called Watercolor. My other gripe is, and it could possibly be well explained. My other gripe is this armor that he has that just causes lightsabers to just not to short circuit for a short time to recharge or whatever. I feel like that's a video game thing that they just added.
You got it, Blake?
I got it. If you don't, it
I'm
don't
lazy.
matter to
You
me.
take it.
So this material is presumably cortosis, which is a metal. It showed up in the Old Republic games. It showed up in the Darth Bane books, where the material, if hit by a lightsaber, it shorts out, I guess, whatever material it is, sends a signal through the beam and shorts out the lightsaber for a period of time.
Okay.
They're referencing deep Star Wars lore. I guess it is kind of deep Star Wars lore.
It was in a novel in the newer Thrawn trilogy.
Correct.
The newer Thrawn trilogy, while he's still working for the Republic, he and Anakin and Padme go to a separatist facility where they're trying to weave cortosis into droids to make them invulnerable to lightsabers or whatever.
Yeah. And it's not it's rare material, so like not everyone can have it. It's not canon breaking. Well, why didn't the Sith just have armor made of cortosis all the time? It's rare material. I don't know canon.
I think it's like Beskar, where it's hard to get. It's not super easy to find everywhere.
And obviously, it's not great armor because it got cracked open by a lightsaber hilt.
The only known person to have that material so far is Cerebro and X-Men with his helmet.
You can't read my mind.
That's not Cerebro. No, that's Magneto.
Magneto. Oh, dang it.
Cerebro finds all the mutants.
That was an interesting line of dialogue,
but
though.
yeah.
So now does cortosis stop any kind of Jedi Force penetration with the mind tricks and stuff?
Yeah.
Now,
that's what it seems like. It's a very Magneto thing, though, Wesley. I mean, you're right. That line, I was thinking X-Men. I was thinking of I wasn't even thinking of old Magneto. I was thinking of young Magneto from First Class. That guy. When he said that, I don't know why. It just popped into my head. But I will say, in the use of cortosis, or presumably cortosis, they don't name it, but it seems like that's what it is. You can say what you want about Leslie Headland and how she's destroying the lore. She's doing this. And I don't know if it's her or the showrunners. I don't know who's giving her tips or if it's her, but these cats know their Star Wars.
It doesn't say that's a lore. I don't understand how does it break the lore if it's in the lore? They're just using it.
Right. I'm not saying that does. But you know, the common thing is Leslie Headland's destroying Star Wars lore. That's the whole purpose of this show for her. And it hasn't yet at all. We had that Coyote Mundi discussion last week. We had a video on TikTok about it this week, so I'm not going to talk about that, but she knows her Star Wars, man. The use of Cortos is here. The accurate combat that we got out of this episode. So people that are running this show really know Star Wars, I think. That's how it's coming across to me.
I'm just going to tell you, I just don't agree at all. They're breaking all the canon rules, so I don't know. That's my last gripe.
I like nothing new. Keep it as it was. I want to see lightsabers stay the same.
That's no, for real though. Did somebody else do gripes? I'm sorry. I disappeared for a second.
No one's done gripes. I just said how Leslie Headland and the showrunners do know their Star Wars because of the use of Cortosis, and we got a fantastic lightsaber battle out of it.
So that brings me to my third and final gripe. My third and final gripe is there has been nothing in this show that has broke canon. I won't expand on that
Not
more.
At all.
There's no reason to, but there's no example of this show actually breaking canon.
Yeah. I did kind of say something about that a second ago, but that actually, what you just said actually goes exactly with what I was saying, so it works. Yeah, it has at one time. Does it have the potential to at this point?
Possibly.
It could do that, but I don't think the showrunners are going to. It seems like they know their Star Wars. So, say what you want about them.
Dude.
Seems like they know their Star
I'm
Wars.
hyped for Dietrich's gripes because this man knows way too much.
First gripe numero uno. I'll go sequentially in the order of how they happen in the show.
Okay. So this is not by least liked to most liked gripe, not the least offensive to most offensive. It's by order of show.
This is I'm going to start with the most offensive thing to me that I always hate anytime they do this.
Not alphabetical categories.
I haven't thought about
not by,
alphabetizing them yet. Hold on, let me think about it real quick. It's going to be the same because I don't want to think about it. All right, number one is when Soul has Quamir by the throat with a lightsaber right at his head, and he doesn't finish the job. I hate that trope so much when the hero could do it, could end it, and he doesn't want to end the life or stops or some bullshit. And bleep that out if you need to. But, like...
It's part of being a Jedi.
I mean...
That was...
Jedi kill Sith all the time back in the day, bro. There was a Jedi-Sith war.
Tell that to Mace.
Where'd all
Mace
the Sith go? They didn't kill themselves.
Tell that to people that haven't seen
sometimes
Sith.
Sometimes you just got to kill your enemy. I hate that trope that happens a lot in any media where the hero has the opportunity to kill and end it, but for some reason, because of morals or whatever it might be, decides not to. I hate that trope so much. The flip side of that, the one little bright spot is we finally get a Jedi who really beats the crap out of a Sith Lord and could have ended it seemingly pretty quickly. All right, that's my gripe number one. Gripe number two.
Well, on that note, Dietrich, about that gripe, like Quamir, and you mentioned this earlier about like their dialogue is really good. Quamir in their conversation like brought out this darkness inside Master Soul. So I want to bring that to light here. Is that this inherently good Jedi Master he was turning dark, and I think we saw that transformation throughout this episode. And so it wasn't until at that moment that Dietrich just spoke of that Osha broke through to him and said, "Hey, don't do that."
That's a solid point.
That's a good point, Wesley, and I'll comment on that as well.
Okay.
Master Soul has done some bad stuff in the past. It seems like we don't know what it is.
I think I would have appreciated that more if it hadn't been done in that way.
With the trope.
with the opportunity to kill the bad guy so easy right there at your hands.
In a more
literally
tactful
lightsaber
way.
at the throat, and you don't do it.
I really do think though that Wesley's right. They're having the conversation, and he's like, I know what I did with my darkness. I let it out. What do you do with yours? And it's like, ooh, that's cold. He knows about the darkness within Soul. Kamir knows Soul apparently from somewhere. It seems like he says, "Don't you remember me?" When they start fighting, but there's a darkness there, and I guess that's them, like you said, showing that he's not giving in. I think he's tried to be a better person since the whole witch incident. Whatever happened, we don't know yet. But good point. Good points for both of you guys. Awesome. Anyways, next gripe.
Second gripe. It was a very Rebels thing to have nature take Quamir away and like kind of defeat him using nature, like with the space whales and Ezra reaching out to the big cats that one time. In Rebel, it was a little weird. I didn't quite like it. I felt like after just seeing him get his butt kicked by Soul, just to end it with him flying off and getting eaten by the big bat bug things was weird.
I'm with you on that one. It didn't make any sense.
I thought they were going to be used as a distraction, but not to actually defeat Quamir.
Well, he wasn't defeated.
All right,
I mean,
anyway.
that's the thing I didn't like about it is that he was able to, without a lightsaber, defeat them all and then fly down for dramatic effect. I thought he dropped his lightsaber.
He was cutting him down.
I know he grabbed it back, but I could have sworn he dropped it again when they were picking him up. But I'm
going to tell you, man, it's got to be hard to fly when you're focused on fighting people and fighting giant space bugs.
All right, Andrew, here's the reason why he didn't fly. Because he knew if he flew, he was going to attract those other flying bugs. There you go.
Oh.
They're going to try to mate with him. Man. It's
What?
about to be some... Yeah. It's Space Slug mating season out there. You didn't know?
I did not know. No.
Yeah, it's that season, man.
Last and definitely least gripe, I really hated when May used the lightsaber. I really hated when she used the lightsaber and does that dramatic swing back and cuts her hair off. I hate, like, they made it so dramatic and so like almost like a Marvel hero moment.
So
I will agree
with that. I will agree with that. And also, it was okay. So this is okay. Yes, 100%. I think that the action itself would have been fine if she didn't stand there before for 2 or 3 seconds and then afterwards for because afterwards she makes this weird face where she's like,
yeah, she does. She does.
Yeah, it's Marvel hero. Like I'm a new
exactly
Avenger.
Without that, I think it would have been great. You're right.
And I'll say this: it's not a gripe per se, but I really think the acting is better as May as opposed to Osha. Osha acting is not good, but May acting is okay at most times.
So, getting to my gripe is with that scene as well, Diedrich. I think that whole scene's really clunky. I didn't like that scene.
Yeah,
I did not
I'll give
like
you
that scene at all.
When they go on and hug on the cliff.
Yeah, it's weird. May's motivations are unclear. And I've seen some people gripe about, well, she was going to turn herself into the Jedi, and then Jecki Lawn arrests her, and then she fights her so hard and starts throwing daggers at her. Like, did she really want to go with the Jedi? I don't know. I think we're supposed to not know what her objectives are. I think that's cool. But on that cliff, man, the dialogue was not great. That whole scene was just off for me. I didn't like the dialogue. I didn't like the acting. Osha was, I've not liked Osha's acting most of the time, even though Amanda Stenberg is also doing May, and I think she does a great job as May. So it might be the writing and the direction of the scene.
I think that's true, but I think part of it is the fact that she's just trying to play it in a way that I don't think is working.
And then play it to herself, too. Like, she's
basically...
She's literally interacting with...
Do they have a stunt double hugging her?
I don't know, probably.
Like,
this gives me a lot of respect for, what is his name? James MacArthur from Split.
Yeah.
Was that his name, James MacArthur? I don't know. I can't remember his name.
What about Lindsay Lohan? She played herself twice in Parent Trap. The new one.
I've seen so many comparisons to that. It's funny.
Due to Blake's ineptitude in recording audio, we must cut this episode here. However, we do know that Wesley ranked this episode a 7.5 out of 10. Andrew gave this one an 8.5 out of 10. Dietrich was at an 8 out of 10. And Blake gave this episode a 9 out of 10. Without further ado, here is the outro for today's episode.
All right, and with that, let's end this episode. This has been a great episode of Dork Wars, the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We post bloopers on there, some behind-the-scenes stuff sometimes that you don't get to hear in the episodes. So definitely TikTok for that. We also post funny videos there. Check out our website, dorkwarspodcast.com. There you have the links to everything that is Dork Wars. That includes the YouTube page. That includes the merchandise store. Go buy you a little something. A little hoodie, hat, t-shirt. We've got all sorts of stuff on there. So check that out. Thank you guys. And may the Force be with you.
Thank you for supporting Dork Wars, the podcast. You can check us out on Facebook.com/Dork Wars, the podcast. And if you would like to join in on the discussion or maybe suggest topics for us to discuss, please do so by joining our Discord community or sending us an email at dorkwarspodcast@gmail.com.
This has been a
That just sounds like fun.
production